Welcome back. This is ProSex Studio, and I'm Brian Downs, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about Zombieland Double Tap. What is the attitude about sex that this movie is trying to sell you and the rest of the public? Well, let's begin. We're supposed to support Columbus's relationship with Wichita. Columbus played by Jesse Eisenberg, Wichita played by Emma Stone. The story of the first film was largely how they came to be a couple during the zombie apocalypse, and now we're 10 years on, and Columbus, Wichita's little sister Little Rock, and their friend Tallahassee played by Woody Harrelson, Little Rock played by Abigail Breslin, are all living in the White House, which is otherwise unoccupied. So Columbus and Wichita have an allegedly romantic and sexual relationship, but I don't see any romance and I don't see any sex. It's 6 minutes into the film when we see them in their bedroom, in the Lincoln bedroom in the White House. They share a bedroom, they share a bed, but there's no eroticism here. She's lying on the bed and he's standing nearby, and they're talking about a small dispute they have about how to decorate the room. There's a portrait of Lincoln, and she feels like it's staring at them. Columbus likes the portrait, but Wichita wins because Wichita says that Columbus can go sleep on the couch, basically. This is Wichita's go-to strategy, by the way, in any dispute. The only dispute we've ever really seen them have, which is about decorating the room. Wichita wins, Columbus caves in. He gets in bed with her. He's wearing like pajama pants and a t-shirt, so he's fully dressed. She seems to be fully dressed. He gets in bed with her. She is wearing a shirt. She's got the comforter pulled up to her chest. No eroticism here. They kiss. Cut away. Doesn't seem like it's leading to a sexual encounter. Maybe. But they were certainly fully dressed, and it wasn't very sexy. We're going to cut away to Tallahassee and Little Rock. They are in the garage of the White House, where Tallahassee is working on the Beast, his war car. Little Rock, played by Abigail Breslin, is in her late teens or early 20s now, and she's complaining because she has no partner. She says, "So you're saying what? I'm never going to find a boyfriend, get married, have a family?" Well, this is upsetting her. She wants sex. Boyfriend, get married, have a family, all of that implies and or requires, well, maybe not require, of course you can adopt. The point is that all implies sex, but she never says sex. She doesn't say I want to have sex. She doesn't say I want to love life. She doesn't say I want to love her. She says boyfriend. Okay, but we're not front loading it with sex. We're talking about family here. Her desire to find a boyfriend, a husband, a sexual relationship will drive most of the conflict in this film. That's negative meme number one, the wanting disaster. Of my 12 negative memes that I've identified as appearing again and again in popular media, number one, the most common, is the wanting disaster. Wanting sex, having sex, seeking sex, even talking about sex often leads to a negative result. 9 minutes into the film, we're back in the Lincoln bedroom with Columbus and Wichita. They're both fully dressed and lying next to each other like they're laid out in the morgue, really. They're not touching, they're not looking at one another. Columbus is reading a comic book, The Walking Dead, ha ha ha. But hey, they are in their bedroom together, they are in bed together. Movies often work very hard to not display two people who are in a couple as being in bed together, literally lying on the same piece of furniture at the same time. We do get that here. But there's no sex. They are not cuddling, they are not embracing, they are not post-coital, they are not nude, they're in their pajamas. And then Columbus proposes marriage to Wichita. This is a big moment, an important moment. There's no eroticism here. These are two relatively young people, maybe mid-30s by this time, good-looking people in a sexual relationship. They've been in a monogamous sexual relationship for a decade. No eroticism here. He doesn't say, you are my lover and friend and partner. Nothing like that. There's no reference to sex. There's no sexuality. They don't make love as a prelude to him proposing to her. There's no sex in the room, really. And there's not going to be any sex in the room because Wichita loses her damn mind. This proposal is multi-layers of ludicrous bullshit. First of all, they're already married. For every possible purpose, they're already married. They've been sharing a bed and been in a monogamous sexual relationship with one another for 10 years. They watch each other's sixes during zombie attacks. If that's not marriage, I don't know what is. They share resources, they share the room. For all possible purposes, they are already married. What are you going to do? You want the tax discount? There are no courthouses, there are no judges in Zombieland. There's no legal system to go to. There's no paper to sign. How could they be more married than they are already? Is it a religious matter? No, it's not, because neither of them have any religious belief. And even if they did, I don't see any handy mosque around here to go and have your union sanctified before your deity. And if that's your concern, the horse is out of the barn, because you've been together for 10 years. So God is already pissed. So what Columbus is proposing here is a meaningless change to something that already exists. You're already, for all possible purposes, married. But Wichita freaks out. Wichita doesn't like marriage because Wichita is afraid of divorce. Well, Wichita, maybe you should have considered this more carefully 10 years ago when you started sharing a bed with this man. Wichita is so afraid of divorce that same night she sneaks out of the White House. She leaves them behind. She takes her sister with her. Is no one on watch in the Zombieland? Anyway, sneaks out, leaves a note behind. We're out, goodbye. Leaves a note. So this is where we're going to talk about how Wichita is a gold-plated asshole. And the sub-theme of my channel, which is negative behavior, bad behavior in female characters that we would never accept in a male character. Never. We would absolutely reject as villainous. But Wichita does it, and well, you know, she's got whatever issues or something. Imagine if this were flipped. Let's play my favorite game. Flip the sexes. If Wichita had said, let's get married, and Columbus had been sayonara in a note and hit the road in the middle of the night without even telling her face to face that he was ending their 10-year relationship, we would be appalled. Appalled. We would be sitting in the theater waiting for him to die a horrible death like he deserves. But Wichita can do it. So, anyway, zoom. Off Wichita goes. Takes Little Rock with her. Splits their little group. Been together 10 years. Splits it in half. Which, by the way, puts everyone in danger because there's safety in numbers. But she's afraid of divorce. So, she divorces. Columbus, in effect, takes a very valuable piece of property and leaves him behind with nothing but her signature on a document. That's a Zombieland divorce. The valuable property is the beast. Let's talk about how they first met back in episode 1, well, the first installment of this franchise. Wichita and Little Rock were in a grocery store, and the apocalypse had happened, and America was an endless plain of shotguns, diamond earrings, and Hostess snowballs there for the taking. But what these two girls were doing were waiting in the back of a zombie-infested grocery store in the hopes that the last two other survivors in America, apparently Columbus and Tallahassee, would blunder by so that they could run a con game on them that would allow them to steal Columbus and Tallahassee's property at gunpoint and leave them without weapons or vehicles in the wasteland. So Wichita has been terrible. Terrible. Day one. Absolutely no reason to rob them in the first film. There's manufactured goods as far as the eye can see. Everybody's dead. Take what you like. She has to rob them. And somehow Columbus says, this is the girl for me. Well, because she looks like Emma Stone, apparently. But hey, Columbus, get your head out of your ass. Now, when Columbus says, we've spent 10 years together, let's spend the rest of our lives together. Wichita says, nope, you got too attached, I'm gone. But, again, the wanting disaster. Marriage implies sex, although, again, there doesn't seem to be any sex in a relationship. He wanted her to be his sex partner for many years to come. Bad result follows. So it's a few minutes of screen time later. Wichita has been gone for about a month, Wichita and Little Rock. And Columbus and Tallahassee visit a mall where they happen upon Madison, played by Zoe Deutsch, who is way too smart for this movie. Madison is a beautiful young woman. She has been surviving, evidently, in the wasteland since day one, by herself. And looking at her, she's maybe late 20s, which means that she was surviving from the time she was a teenager. So she must have resilience, resources, of spirit. She's happy to meet Columbus anyway. Tallahassee immediately starts giving her attitude, and she throws some shade at him. But generally, she's very nice. I am proud to introduce myself to you today as the captain of Team Madison. Columbus ought to be with Madison. Madison is attractive, yes, also friendly, upbeat, talkative, communicates clearly. She goes back to the White House with Tallahassee and Columbus, and very quickly she and Columbus wind up in bed together that night. She makes it clear that she wants to have sex while she's been totally alone for years. Can't blame her. But let's discuss the low IQ elephant in the room. Madison is portrayed by the film as being cartoonishly stupid. This is the Oval Office. Why did I call it that? No one is this stupid in real life. She has to be cartoonishly stupid. Why is she cartoonishly stupid? The blonde girl's dumb. Oh, that's a great joke. Zombieland, well done. Did you pay people to write this? But why is the blonde girl dumb? Because if she's not cartoonishly stupid, then she's running laps around Wichita. Wichita is, well, a high-functioning psychopath, really. She is bullying and withholding and dysfunctional. Madison is friendly, upbeat, works with the group, makes herself understood, and is eager to have sex. So when it comes to a sex partner interested in having sex, is a nice feature. Team Madison. So of course, before Columbus and Madison even finish having sex for the first time, Wichita reappears. She just lets herself into the garage where she's banging around, creating a misunderstanding, of course, which she must know is about to happen, where Tallahassee and Columbus go to investigate this noise, and they are well armed. Could have created a misunderstanding where she got killed, couldn't have knocked on the door, shows up in the middle of the night, couldn't have waited for dawn, couldn't have knocked on the front door. Oh no, because she's Wichita. Narcissist psychopath. She just lets herself into the garage in the middle of the night to get some weapons. Taking the vehicle wasn't enough. She now feels absolutely justified in helping herself to whatever else of their property remains. But hey, remember how they met? With a shotgun in the face. And she came all the way back. Now, later we're going to learn that she came all the way back to reunite with Columbus. She can't be honest about that, of course. She can't communicate honestly. Why does she want to reunite with Columbus? Well, let me tell you why. Because she and Little Rock got out there in the wasteland and they met a hippie pacifist named / from Berkeley. He's a young man and about Little Rock's age, and Little Rock was immediately enamored with him because she's never met a young man her age before. And when Wichita tries to issue orders, Little Rock and Berkeley take off together. They're going to go visit Graceland, which they want to see. So Wichita, the great abandoner, decides that she doesn't like being abandoned, so she comes back to Columbus, and Columbus is confused and surprised to see her, and then, of course, Madison comes down the stairs and says, "Are you coming back to bed?" And Wichita has the colossal, unmitigated, unmeasurable nerve to act betrayed. She's angry at Columbus because Columbus has had a sexual encounter with another woman. Remember, Wichita, last we heard from you, there was a note that said, "I'm out," and you were out in the middle of the night with their vehicle. But it seems in Wichita's head that it's perfectly reasonable that she should be able to expect that however many days later, she didn't say she was coming back. She implied that she wasn't coming back. More than a month later, she comes back and she expects that Columbus will be standing there waiting for her to pick up where they left off. Wichita is a gold-plated asshole. But again, the wanting disaster. Columbus had a sexual encounter with a very eagerly consenting adult, and now all this trouble. The rest of the movie really turns on this tension, this sort of love triangle, which Wichita shouldn't be in. Get the hell out of here. But there we are, the wanting disaster. Wanting sex, having sex leads to trouble. For a few seconds of seeing them embrace, and then, by the way, cut to Tallahassee lying down somewhere else in the building complaining about the noise, we get an hour of tension and dissent and trouble. The wanting disaster. Sex is bad. Don't do it, kids. And so, Tallahassee, Columbus, Madison, and Wichita head for Graceland in the hopes of rescuing, I guess, Little Rock, who is an adult person now and chose to go off with Berkeley. But they're going to go get her because now the driving force of the film is that Little Rock should not be permitted to commence with or continue or carry on a romantic and sexual relationship with Berkeley. This movie should have been entitled Muff Cuffing Little Rock. About 40 minutes into the film, Madison has an allergic reaction to some peanuts she stupidly ate because Madison is so stupid. She didn't realize there were peanuts in trail mix. She's allergic to peanuts, but she starts to convulse and vomit. And the others think that she's turning into a zombie because this happens, coincidentally, shortly after a zombie attack. So it falls to Columbus to lead her off into the woods and shoot her. But we don't see Madison die. The movie tries to make us think that Columbus has shot her and killed her. Columbus has to shoot and kill the woman he had sex with. Remember, we haven't seen him have sex with Wichita, nor do they refer to a sex life. They don't refer to one another as boyfriend, wife, girlfriend. I don't remember that happening. If you remember that happening, if you saw that happen in this film, please let me know, put it in the comments. Always interested to know if I missed something. But notice that they don't talk to each other or about each other as wife, husband, boyfriend, bang buddy, nothing. These words aren't used because we have to push sex out into the great wasteland. Guess what? Columbus didn't actually shoot Madison. He just tried to scare off zombie Madison, and later they're reunited with Madison. So, of course, we didn't see Madison die, so that should have been 100% obvious to anyone in the theater. On the road, searching for the missing Little Rock, Columbus, Wichita, and Tallahassee meet Nevada, played by Rosario Dawson, the innkeeper of an Elvis-themed hotel in a world with no guests. The film implies that Tallahassee and Nevada have sex together because it shows them bonding over a drink privately, and then it cuts to Nevada waking up in bed. You see her bare shoulders with the sheet pulled up to her chin. This ought to be one of the negative memes itself, that a woman with her lover in their private bedroom together covers herself with a sheet. Tallahassee, meanwhile, is standing on the bed. Tallahassee's a huge fan of Elvis Presley, so is Nevada. That's why she has the shrine she runs. And Tallahassee is wearing an Elvis Presley costume we found around the place. He is absolutely fully dressed, with a high collar and so on. They don't touch or kiss, as I recall, in that scene, so the sex is distantly implied. Meanwhile, Little Rock and Berkeley have arrived in Babylon, a hippie, pacifist, walled enclave that has two rules: no guns and no group sex. Two rules, folks. Two rules in Babylon: no guns, no group sex. Punching people in the face is apparently not made the banned list. Neither is raping children, setting other people's houses on fire. None of that's on the banned list. No group sex definitely is, because sex is bad. Back with the main group, it's about 10 seconds after we're made to understand that Tallahassee and Nevada bumped uglies that Albuquerque and Flagstaff show up. Albuquerque, it seems, is also a man who's had sex with Nevada, and very quickly he and Tallahassee are having an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation over that. So again, the sex is barely implied, very fleeting, and we move immediately to danger, threat. Here are these two, alpha men looking like they're going to duke it out over Nevada, who tells them to cut it out. Albuquerque played by Luke Wilson, by the way. So, and Flagstaff played by that guy from the Verizon commercials, and that sitcom about a software startup, I forget. Silicon Valley. Those are the notes I took. So, anyway, Tallahassee and Albuquerque do not come to blows, in part because they're interrupted by a zombie attack, and very soon Albuquerque and Flagstaff are zombies themselves, having been infected in that battle, and Tallahassee and Nevada are the ones who deal the fatal blows to them. Tallahassee and Nevada blow the brains out of Nevada's other lover. In zombie form, but still, the wanting disaster. Albuquerque had sex with Nevada. We learn that. Minutes later, Albuquerque is a zombie, and Nevada kills him. Then Tallahassee and Nevada share a passionate kiss just before Tallahassee leaves her behind, as he and Columbus and Wichita get back on the road. He's going to join his core group, where he has no sexual relationships and no possibility of any sexual relationship, because Wichita is Columbus's partner. They've effectively been married for a decade, and Little Rock is too young, and neither of them would have sex with Tallahassee anyway. But it's better that Tallahassee be with his friends, because your friends are your family, and family doesn't sex. That's one of my negative memes. So they find Little Rock at the pacifist enclave of Babylon. She eventually rejects Berkeley because he's a poser. There is a climactic battle with a huge horde of zombies, wherein Nevada appears out of the night, driving a monster truck to save the day. After the battle, Wichita turns to Columbus and says, yes. Wichita seems to believe that Columbus's offer of marriage still stands. Having abandoned him in the middle of the night, having broken off their 10 years relationship. And why? Why? Because of the way that Columbus savagely beat her? No, he never laid a finger on her. Because of the way that Columbus was banging her sister? No, he never laid a finger on her either. Because of the way that Columbus smothered her hamster? There's no hamster in this picture. No, because Columbus proposed marriage to the woman he'd been sharing a bed with for 10 years. She leaves in the middle of the night, comes back 30 days later, throws shade at him and trouble at him because he's had sex with someone else in the meantime, when she had given him every impression that she would never come back. And now she simply says, yes, I will marry you. Aren't you lucky? No, you're not lucky, Columbus. You ought to push her off the top of that tower. But Columbus is thrilled. And he and Wichita share a passionate kiss, which is on screen for about a second and a half. Tallahassee and Nevada share a passionate kiss. So the movie is implying that, these people, these two couples, are going to be moving forward with romantic and sexual relationships. But again, very, very briefly, those kisses are very short. These people don't say, yes, we're going to be together. It's just implied. We don't see a wedding or anything like that. Berkeley, the hippie, and Madison, the dummy, have been making eyes at each other all of a sudden, and Little Rock says, oh, just go ahead. And rather, she says, just go for it, contemptuously, and they embrace and kiss because stupid people have sex. Notice that at the end of the film, while we do see 6 people turning into 3 couples, that is kind of sex positive. It's implying that these people will go on to have sexual and romantic relationships. So there's some sex positivity there in the last few minutes. Taking a little bit of a turn. Mostly been negative. It's mostly been the wanting disaster. It's mostly people's desire to have sex, or actual having of sex, or sexual relationships causes all the conflict. Why did Wichita leave? Because Columbus said, let's continue the relationship we're in effect. Why did Tallahassee have his conflict with Albuquerque? Because of sex with Nevada. But notice that although we have these 3 couples, Little Rock is single. Single and without a partner. And back in the arms of her intentional family, back with her friends. Your friends are your family, and your family doesn't sex. It was Little Rock's leaving of the nest and leaving of Wichita that led to most of the action of this film. And now that's been corrected. Muff-cuffing Little Rock. Little Rock is back where there'll be no dick for her, and there is no group sex in Babylon. Please please like and subscribe.